Money isn't hard. I want to start there because a lot of people tense up the second they hear the word money. You feel your shoulders tighten, your chest gets heavy, you already feel behind before we even start talking. And one reaction alone tells me something. It tells me you don't struggle with money because you're bad with it. You struggle because you were never taught how it actually works. Most of us were raised to believe that money is stressful by default, that it's something you argue about, something you're supposed to be confused by, something only rich people really understand. But think about this for a second. Anything that feels confusing for a long time usually isn't confusing because it's complicated. It's confusing because you were never shown the rules. Let me explain what I mean. Think about driving. The first time you drove a car, it probably felt overwhelming. You were thinking about everything at once: the mirrors, the speed, the brakes, the gas, the signs, other cars. Your hands were tense, your body was tight. Now think about how you drive today. You drive while listening to music, you drive while talking, you drive while thinking about your day. You don't consciously think about every single step anymore. Driving didn't get easier because you got smarter. It got easier because you learned the rules and practiced them long enough that they became familiar. Money works the exact same way. But here's the problem. Most people never get the practice phase. They were told to go to school, get a good job, don't spend too much, save a little, and that was it. No explanation, no framework, no real understanding of how money moves, grows, protects, or multiplies. So when real life hits, rent, debt, credit, emergencies, taxes, people feel like they're drowning. And instead of saying, I was never taught this, they say, I'm just bad with money. That belief is dangerous because when you believe you're bad at something, you stop trying to understand it. You just survive it. And that's where most people live, in survival mode. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't care, not because they're operating without a rule book. This is why I say money is a game. Not because it's fake, not because it's easy, but because it has rules, levels, penalties, and strategies, whether you know them or not. And if you don't know the rules of the game, you don't get to opt out of losing. You just lose quietly, slowly over time. The goal of this video is not to hype you up. The goal is to calm you down. Because once you realize money is learnable, not personal, not emotional, not moral, everything changes. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? And you start asking, what rules was I never taught? And that question is powerful. This is the part where people get uncomfortable because most of us were raised on one core belief. If you work hard, everything will work out. And listen, hard work matters. Effort matters. Showing up matters. But effort alone has never been enough to win games. If effort won games, the hardest working people in this country would be the wealthiest people in this country. And we know that is not true. I work with nurses, some of the hardest working people you will ever meet. Long shifts, emotional labor, physical exhaustion, overtime, night shifts, missed holidays, and yet so many of them feel financially stuck. Not broke, not irresponsible, just stuck. They make decent money, sometimes really good money, but they don't feel safe. They don't feel secure. They don't feel like they can breathe. That's not a work ethic problem. That's a structure problem. Hard work gets you income. Structure determines what happens to that income. Most people were never taught the difference. They were taught to run faster, not to build something that lasts. So they do what makes sense to them. They pick up extra shifts, they get raises, they move jobs, they hustle harder. But if the structure underneath doesn't change, more money just moves through the same broken system. This is why people say things like, I don't know where the money goes. It's not that the money disappears, it's that it was never directed with intention. Most money always flows somewhere. The question is whether it's flowing by design or by default. And default systems keep you tired. This is also why budgeting alone doesn't work for most people. Budgeting relies on discipline. Discipline relies on willpower. Willpower runs out when life gets harder. Structure doesn't rely on how you feel. Structure works even when you're tired, even when you're busy, even when you don't feel motivated. People who win with the money game don't wake up more disciplined than you. They just have systems that remove emotion from the equation. And that's the part nobody tells you. They shame you for not being consistent, but they never show you how to design consistency. So you think the problem is you. It's not. You were taught to work, not to position. And until that changes, hard work will always feel like it's not enough because on its own, it isn't. Once you understand that money is a game, the next thing you need to understand is that not everyone is playing on the same level. Most people are stuck on what I call level zero. Level zero is survival mode. Level zero sounds like I'll fix it next month, or I just need to catch up, or once this bill is paid off, I'll be good. At level zero, every paycheck already has a job before it even arrives. There's no margin, no buffer, no room for mistakes. So every unexpected expense feels like a crisis. Every setback feels personal. Every financial decision feels emotional. And the hardest part about level zero is that it keeps you short-sighted. You're not thinking about 5 years from now. You're thinking about getting through the next 2 weeks. That doesn't make you irresponsible. It makes you human. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You don't leave level zero by accident. You leave level zero by changing how you play. Level one is stability. This is where you start building breathing room, emergency funds, credit repair, basic systems that keep you from falling apart every time life happens. Everyone isn't about being rich or getting rich. It's about getting calm. Level two is positioning. This is where you stop asking, how do I save more? And start asking yourself, how do I move smarter? This is where assets, leverage, tax strategy, and long-term thinking come into play. Here's something very important. Most people never teach level two, not because they can't, but because nobody showed them that levels exist. They think everyone is just winging it. They think feeling stressed about money forever is normal. It's not. It's just common. And common doesn't mean correct. Once you realize there are levels, you stop shaming yourself for where you are and you stop comparing. You focus on moving up one level at a time. And that's how the money game actually gets won. Not oversight, not through hustle, but through understanding structure and patience. If you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe.